Well, hey everybody, 650 Ebe here. Welcome home to the channel. I am at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for a round of MotoAmerica racing featuring the Mission King of the Baggers Race Series and Hooligan Racing. And in today's video, we're going to spend 3 days here at the track checking out all of the amazing racing events that they have planned. We've got some great weather today, but a possible risk of rain tomorrow and Sunday. So fingers crossed that we stay dry and everything goes off well. All right, guys, this is qualifying for the Super Hooligan class. And we see the #1 bike from last year's champion right here with that beautiful Arai helmet with the #1 on it. He's talking to Bradley Smith. So over here is a great spot to watch the racing on this big screen, and you can tell over the weekend this is going to be amazing, and there's going to be tons of people here watching the racing. Brian Antonik is having a great time watching the racing, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
And he's using his Honda Monkey as a pit bike that he purchased from Sills on the track. How's that going for you?
Oh, it's awesome. Best pit bike ever.
All right, the bikes are back in immediately after the crash. They're going to hopefully clear the track, clean it up real good, and then send the racers back out to continue qualifying. Meanwhile, it's a good opportunity for Jason and the rest of the technicians and mechanics to, check the bikes out, make sure everything's okay. The racers get to come off the bike for a bit, get some water, hydrate, and do it all over again. So this is the race bike that had the spill earlier during qualifying. They got it brought in. Believe it or not, guys, they may be able to get this bike fixed up and put back into use. This is one of the Saddlemen racing machines. And yet they're going to wheel it in to the garage and get working on it. You know what this means? This means this is going to be a long night for the mechanics.
Normally, this is something that would take us, would have been here all night long and maybe been ready by 6 in the morning. We're lucky enough we carry a spare bike right up top. So all we're going to do is, it's right up behind that black thing right there.
Yep.
We'll pull that out. In about 2 hours, that bike will be ready to go.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's really good. We're just praying for Corey.
Yeah.
It looks like he might have messed his wrist up, so we may have a bike and no rider, but we're gonna give it our best shot.
Well, if you're looking for riders, I volunteer. I don't know about skill level, but hey.
Hey, at least you'll be out there, right?
Yes, man.
All right, man.
Keep doing it.
All right, guys. Yep, thank you.
Day 2 qualifying is about to start. The race team is behind me. The riders are on the track right now doing a warm-up session. They're gonna be pulling in, and then it's going to be time for qualifying. This is going to lead up to the race tomorrow on day 3.
When we talk about Harley-Davidson being a family, we really mean it. If you turn around a minute, you can see our national championship rider over here with this.
I see that.
Taking care of kids in between sessions.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So step into the garage, come see the full 2026 factory bike running the national championship #1 from last year, 2025.
Yes. Absolutely beautiful. Now, I was out in Arizona earlier this year, January, February-ish, and I saw that Kyle was testing what at the time was a prototype swing arm. Is that swing arm currently in use?
That is a current swing arm in use, absolutely.
Okay.
Smells good.
It does.
Yeah. Small race gas, always good.
What type of race fuel is that? It's a VP fuel, I'm sure?
It's a VP T4 Plus is the fuel that we run. It's a slightly oxygenated, really controlled spec, 97 octane fuel.
Okay.
Developed as a spec for fuel to use in a production environment, originally for karting, but we use it here. It's the only class being so much of a builder's class from a stock motorcycle. King of the Baggers and Super Hooligans use T4. Everyone else has a more aggressive race fuel.
Okay.
But yeah, that swing arm we were talking about, you can see it here. Although we are allowed to change the swing arm, certainly from the stock swing arm, we do have to homologate it. So we have to submit designs for that at the beginning of the season, and that's the one swing arm that we can use for the rest of the season.
Okay. It's beautiful. Lots of carbon fiber. Is all the bodywork carbon fiber on this machine?
Yes,
nice.
All carbon fiber for lightweight.
Yes.
It's a lot of work to get over well over 200 pounds from the stock motorcycle down to the race weight.
That's amazing. Because the stock bikes are what, 850 pounds ish?
Yeah. Ish. Yeah, minimum weight for our class is 620 pounds. So that means anytime the bike comes off the track, it can be put on a scale. It needs to be more than 620.
Okay.
So we're, when you start the race, it's even more than that with the full fuel load. People that have gone to more lighter weight, but more integrated, we've kind of just kept it as our thing. It's just the zip ties, right? And in fact, it was fun a few years ago at Daytona when Travis Wyman was racing for us. He got so close to the wall, on the top,
that it zipped.
Took the zip tie off on the wall on the banking at the top of the banking at Daytona.
Wow.
Just kissed it. A little rash here and the zip tie gone.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how close to the limit these guys are all the time.
I love the handlebar setup and the racing buttons and everything.
Yeah, we worked with a partner to be able to design these buttons specific for us to give the controls that the rider needs, and of course within the regulations of the series. So.
Yeah.
All carbon fiber bodywork, as we were talking about. You do see that this one no longer has its carbon fiber look.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly a crashed bag that was then since repaired, so it gets a little black coverage. Yeah, you don't see it on the TV, but when you're up here close, you can see. Trying to save Harley some budget on that stuff.
Yeah, I see a little bit of maybe some rash in the lid there. Yeah.
Are these the street spec Olin suspension parts? Probably not, huh?
Well, we developed the Olin suspension within the racing program and then for the street. So they were developed at the same time. So the only difference between these Screaming Eagle by Olin shocks and the one you buy for street is these are taller. The bike is much taller. And then of course, spring rate, dampening character, those are all dialed in specific to track, so those might differ. But in terms of the internals and how they function, they're the same. It was one of, this great thing about the racing program is to being able to work with partners like this to be able to deliver really great product back to the street. Krapovich is one of those. If you think this full titanium piece of exhaust system is phenomenal for the racing standpoint, we were able to work with them to develop a system for the CVO RR. Hopefully we can keep growing that partnership. They've been an amazing partner for us.
Oh yeah. Very exciting. This air intake, is that a K&N filter or?
Yes, it's a K&N filter that we worked with them. They're another sponsor of ours, a great partner. They provide racing filters for us for our specifications. They're also the supplier of every Screaming Eagle air filter element that we have in our catalog. So anytime you buy a Screaming Eagle filter, it is a K&N element. Really great performance, really reliable, great company to work with.
Yeah. Beautiful. I don't see LED headlights. Not needed?
We do not race at night, so it is part of our weight savings. We're able to take the headlight out of there. A lot of people ask, though, why do you take the aerodynamic sacrifice and have a hole here in the front? If you can see, some of the other bikes are completely closed off. It helps a little bit with drag. One of the unique things about our bike is even though we have water cooling within the heads, all the new generation Milwaukee 8 have improved water targeted cooling around the exhaust valves in particular. We still primarily air cool. Means we can't block any of the airflow to the fin pack of the cylinders and the heads. So we can't put a big radiator in front where you would normally see it on a sport bike. So we have to put the radiator here in the front to be able to get the cooling, but maintain the airflow across the cylinder pack and the heads.
Amazing. And I noticed that these bikes use forged wheels. Carbon fiber wheels not allowed in this series?
Correct. Across all of MotoAmerica, professional racing in the US, they do not allow magnesium or carbon fiber. In particular, forged aluminum are very reliable in terms of their performance and their performance over time. Magnesium in particular has a very limited life. It becomes very expensive. Also unsafe if teams aren't maintaining them properly. And a lot of teams in the US are just doing what it takes to go racing. May push that life apart a little bit longer. So MotoAmerica has required everything to be aluminum primarily for rider safety. The incremental gains they're there, but if everybody's on the same wheel, you're all on the same setup.
Awesome.
Yeah, Marcassini wheels, forged aluminum out of Italy. Another great partner, Marcassini owned by Brembo. Brembo provides all of our braking systems, which increasingly across our OE portfolio as well. World Superbike spec front brake calipers.
I see that.
T-drive rotors.
I see that.
These are actually the same rotors we were able to put on the CVO-RR motorcycle.
Yes.
Walking across this side of the bike a little bit. One of the other technologies or updates that we've made for this year that are not in the street, we have a full dry clutch from STM. That's
lovely.
That's actually the same dry clutch that comes out of a V4 Ducati.
I see that. I have that on one of my Ducatis.
Yeah, and we've worked closely with STM to develop it for this application in particular. Quite a bit different. They did not believe our torque numbers when we told them how much torque that clutch needed to handle. So it's been a bit of work to get it where it is now, but it really helps.
That's beautiful.
One of the things is having the dry clutch and less mass and less rotating mass, we've been able to reduce the inertia, which helps significantly with the shift events. If you think about another unique things about a Harley-Davidson engine is this chain-driven primary. There's no sport bike and there's no other bike in the King of the Baggers class that has a chain-driven primary as well as the compensator ramps. Well, every time you go from negative to positive torque, you're taking up chain slack and the compensator is ramping. And the riders are constantly trying to feather the throttle such that they can pick up that slack and then get to the throttle and drive tractable, predictable power to the rear wheel. One of the biggest changes we've made over the years has really been in reliability and durability. We've continued to increase power, we've continued to increase the output of the engine, but make it in a more reliable, durable way. And the chassis itself too. We've achieved up to 60 degrees of lean angle in our Bagger World Cup spec bikes. At Circuit of the Americas earlier this year, 61.9 degrees. That's our all-time record lean angle. To be able to have this wide of a motorcycle lean over 60 degrees, just tucking up everything tighter, getting the exhaust out of the way on the left side, the right side, getting the left side as tight in as possible while still maintaining oiling inside of the compensator and clutch area has been a big engineering challenge. Suspension setup, geometry of the motorcycle, I mean, it's come from everywhere. Just here at this weekend here at Mid-Ohio, Kyle qualified in a 27.3. The pole time of SUPERSPORT, Josh Herron on a Ducati, was 27.4.
I saw that.
So quite literally the front row of baggers would be the front row on SUPERSPORT this year.
Amazing.
From a 620 minimum pound motorcycle, it's pretty impressive.
And that's largely due to power output, I would assume.
Yes.
Yeah. Because you're, 200 pounds heavier, 150 pounds
minimum
heavier?
weight of SUPERSPORT is 355 and we're 620. So we're almost double.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have more than double the displacement, obviously not as much as an optimal design. I'm sure we do have double the torque. I mean, these big V-twins are torque monsters, absolutely.
Probably more grip, I would assume, bigger
one of the things that we struggle with is grip, actually, because if you think about the sub-optimized rear geometry of the motorcycle, it's not designed to be a race bike. It's designed to be much lower than it is today. So the output shaft of the transmission versus the pivot location of the swing arm versus the rear axle is very sub-optimized in terms of doing it. So entry grip, rear exit grip, that's where our primarily struggles are for us here on the Harley-Davidson platform at the moment. Using the power that we have and getting it to the ground is always a challenge.
Yeah.
But that's a typical racer thing. I don't have grip.
Yes.
I always see them getting up on, getting a little wild coming out of the corners, and they're kind of getting up on it.
I mean, it's a constant. There is no traction control in these motorcycles, so it is ride by wire. But you have all that 2,152 cc's of 131 cubic inch engine controlled by the rider's wrist and one butterfly valve.
Yes. Okay. We talked about this earlier, but can you explain to the audience why the James Rispoli number 43 bike is a different color than these machines?
Yeah, because he likes silver.
Okay, yes. It's
unique.
unique.
This year we're really happy to bring on a full factory partner onto the factory team this year. So Harley-Davidson by Dynojet Factory Racing, running 2 bikes with Bradley Smith and Kyle Wyman.
Yep.
We do have a 3rd full factory spec motorcycle.
Yes.
Big Deal by Harley-Davidson Factory Racing. Richard Deal is the owner of that motorcycle. He approached Harley-Davidson Factory Racing this year and said, I want to buy a bike. I want to be part of this series. It's so exciting. What can I do? We said, well, I'll sell you a bike.
Yeah.
So he purchased James' bike for us, and as well as contracted engineering services support directly from the race team. So we're able to run a 3rd full spec bike, but under Richard Deal's great partnership. And the Big Deal Factory Racing has been a great plus, been able to keep James Rispoli, one of the original guys in this series, and keep the racing excitement going.
That's awesome. They're getting ready for the start of the race here on day 2, Saturday. This is going to be pretty awesome. They got one race today and another one tomorrow on day 3. And the riders are out right now on the track for a warm-up session, and then they're going to start here on the grid.
Troy Herfoss, the number 17, and his teammate Aiden Gillum. And talking with Troy, we were talking about... Oh, wow, Kyle Wyman! Oh, wow, big hit for Kyle. Motorcycle bouncing off, and again...
So happy to see him get up from that.
It's that big snap.
Like, what did I do wrong? What did I do different? And this is what happens, Greg. The thing just spins. Oh, you know what? The front wheel came off the ground. That's what it was. He had so much grip that when he was still at lean angle, the front end came off the ground, and when it got set back down, it just...
And obviously, he's going to feel the effects
red
of
flag,
that one.
Greg.
Yeah, red flag in this Mission King of the Baggers, race number 1.
Kyle was in the lead and he had a crash, guys. No, 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 no. There's Terry Vance over there, of Vance and Hines, just showing support for Kyle. His Alpine Stars checking out his gear. The gear did what it was supposed to do, protected him, as always.
Big one. That one scared me a little bit, so I was happy to see him pop up.
Did his airbag deploy?
Yeah, I did.
Awesome.
Yeah. It, like from a low side, it won't. If you're just sliding, it won't go off. But as soon as with him riding the bike a little bit, I don't know. I have to watch the video, but when he hit the wall, for sure should have. But yeah, that was a scary one for.
It was. That's why I say Alpine Stars always. This is day 3 of racing here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for the Mission King of the Bagger racing that we are enjoying, as well as all the super bikes that are gracing this track. Today is the final race for the Mission King of the Bagger racing, and I think it's going to be pretty epic. You saw yesterday our good buddy Kyle Wyman had an unfortunate incident on the track, and so did Bradley Smith. Well, today, the race team, the Harley-Davidson factory race team, worked all night to get those bikes back together, and fingers crossed that the racers can have an amazing race here today. The super bikes are coming off the track. The bagger bikes are going onto the track, ready to get put on their stands and prepared for race. Believe it or not, guys, that takes enormous core strength to really muscle these bikes around and get them set up. I can't imagine the amount of sit-ups that Jason does on a daily basis. If I were to guess, he probably does in excess of 200 sit-ups a day. Yes?
I didn't hear what you said. So.
How many sit-ups do you do per day?
We're always sitting up.
Yes. Go. All right, we're rooting for Kyle, we're rooting for Bradley, we're rooting for James Rispoli. Let's do a 1, 2, 3 with all of those bikes. 8 laps. That's Bradley Smith. Yeah. They're celebrating over here. Bradley Smith, great job. Great job. Awesome. He's hugging his brother all the way from Australia.
Oh, yeah.
That's fantastic.
One more big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Race weekend is over here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for this round of MotoAmerica and the Mission King of the Bagger Racing Series. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did, and stay tuned because we got more rounds of this awesome racing coming up, guys. So never forget, ride something and ride safe. We'll catch you on the next video.